Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This morning, another exciting morning that you can learn a lot from each other. And thank you for coming in early. Say hi to each other from the chat box, since that's the only way that we can chit-chat to each other now. Half cycle chat. Right. So type in the chat box, say good morning, say how are you, say hi to some of the friends that you see that in the screen. Scroll through the screen, see who is in here so they can say hi to your friend there. Use your chat box to say hi to each other. See some response. Are you in the chat box? Chat box. Suzanne said good morning. Suzanne. Who else? The rest of you, you're in the session because we're going to say good morning. Wei Long. Yeah. Who else? Some more. Want to see more people say hi to each other in the chat box. Morning, City. Zili. May. Pong. Yes. Say hi to your friend here. Many of your friends inside here, right? So this morning we're going to have an exciting time of learning from each other. Of course, the best person, so-called the best, one of the best, or at the moment for this session, he and she is the best. In talking about how to do lead generation, and hi William, thank you for mentioning my name. Right, so we're going to have a session following John Kuek and Ashlynn, who has been doing quite successful in their lead generation, and also, of course, along the way, there are some challenges that they face, and they're going to share with us how they overcome some of these challenges, so that we all can learn from them, and so that at the end of this session, this is what I want you to do. At the end of the session, make sure you pick up one idea or something that you aha that you have, and tell yourself how are you going to implement it after this session. Right? Because nothing going to happen if we don't take action. So this morning, as you listen to John and Ashlynn sharing, make sure you jot down some idea, and make sure from all those ideas that you jot down, pick one that you think you can immediately apply that will make an impact in your business, right? So with that, without further delay, I'm going to pass the time now to Jonathan Kuek. Let's put our hand together to welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Seng Fei, and thank you for the regional team, early in the morning that set up all this and get myself, and it's my great pleasure to have Ashlynn to be in to share with you about lead generation. Now, I'm very passionate about lead generation. I can talk all day about this. In fact, I think I've conducted a lot of training about lead gen, but today we want to talk a little bit about the challenges that you will face in lead generation and how to overcome it. Now, as I always say this, everyone can be in the real estate business, but not all of them know how to handle the complication, or not all of them know how to handle the lead generation and how to handle the leads. Now, we have come to a place sometimes lead gen is not a problem anymore, but the way we handle our leads will make a very huge difference. So now, Ashlynn, are you ready to straight away talk about lead gen right now? I think you're muted.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I don't know why just now. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Ready, yeah. Now, Ashlynn, try to introduce yourself and tell everyone who are you and what's your background, before we go into lead gen.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Ashlynn. So I'm from FDRT platform. So a little bit about my background was that I actually graduated as a quantity surveyor way before I joined real estate. And I actually worked for a year in the construction industry. So how I ended up in real estate industry was actually through a friend of mine. Okay, so one day I received a text from my friend. So just very randomly, he asked me, hey, would you like to explore real estate industry? So at that point of time, you know, when you were younger that time, right, you tend to be very spontaneous and just very adventurous. And also at that time, I was actually jobless after I quit my job. And I thought, hey, nothing to lose, why not give it a try? So the next thing, what I did was that I actually bought a one-way ticket and I flew back from my hometown KK to KL, and the rest is history. Yeah, that's how I got into real estate industry.
Right. So how's the journey for your first year and second years? Okay, so how long are you in this real estate already?
4.5 years. Yeah, coming to 5 years.
Right, interesting. So what you are doing right now, what you are specializing in?
Okay, my strength is in project marketing. So I'm in this platform and I'm the productivity coach for FDRT and also the project manager for a few projects in our platform.
Right, interesting. Now, would you mind to share, since you joined Redfield, right? So what kind of marketing and prospecting activities you do to lead gen and close deal? Now, have you been doing the same since day one until now, or it has changes? Would you mind to share? So as a new rookie come in, right? So how should I start now? You know, the question is, how should I start now? So would you mind to share about that?
Yeah, that's a lot of question there. Okay, I would say actually different season, I prioritize on different lead generation activities. So from my experience, how I started is that I actually started with cold calling first. Okay, there are reasons because when I first started, I actually didn't have that much money to pump in for marketing. So during my early years, I did a lot of cold calling from my project marketing. And in fact, 80% of my sales back then were actually from cold calling. And then the rest were from other marketing activities, you know, like roadshow, flyers, or other digital platform. And I did cold calling for about 2.5 years. So I was faithfully doing it until it didn't work out that well anymore. So from last year, I actually shifted my lead generation activities from prospecting based to marketing based. So currently my main lead generation activities are actually from the Facebook marketing.
Right. Actually, I want to ask you this question. A lot of people say cold calling is not effective, and cold calling this activity is dead. Right. So would you mind to share what are the challenges when it comes to cold calling? Because I know that when we want to do cold calling, right, sometimes the phone is very heavy.
Yeah.
You don't want to pick up the call. So share about your experience and what are the challenges in cold calling.
Yeah, I really feel all of you because I remember when I first started cold calling, I was shivering. I was very scared. It's actually my own mind block. I already have this mind block way before I started, but I'm glad that I actually just decided to just do it and just push it through. So initially, you know, when I started, right, when I started calling, I always wish that the other party wouldn't pick up my phone. So the phone ring, ring, ring. So inside my heart, I was very, very nervous. And I thought, please don't pick up my phone. Please don't pick up my call. Yeah, I have that kind of thought. That was how scary it was for me. But eventually, as I did more and more, right, it's actually a repetition. So I have come to a point where I can just pick up and just call, and there's zero fear in me because you got to sit down and ask yourself, this very honest question. So why are you so fearful? Yeah. So once you know your pain point already, right, you work on it, and yeah, you will be able to do it very well. And in fact, I would say cold calling is actually not that daunting, not that scary actually. Yeah, I would say I'm glad that I actually started with cold calling first, which is the worst place ever. Like out of so many marketing activities, right? Cold calling is the worst, it's the scariest. And I actually did it for 2.5 years. Yeah, and I got so natural at it that so right now when I shift to Facebook marketing, it become a lot easier for me to engage with my client.
Okay. Let's stop there and ask a question. You say that you started with cold calling and it was so scary. And then when you pivot to Facebook marketing or social media marketing, it become a lot easier. Now, what do you mean by that? You mean a lot easy to generate leads or how? Can you explain more?
I would say to engage with client, because imagine if today I would to give you a list where you don't know whether these people, they are looking for property or not. You don't know whether they have this interest or not, right? And if you are able to engage with them, then when it goes to marketing, because marketing is more like people registering your ad and they show interest, that become a lot easy for me to engage with them, and I know what question to ask and how to actually engage well with them so that I'll be able to bring these leads to appointment.
All right. So what I'm hearing you is that you know exactly what to tell them, right?
So I would say the skill is that you have to know what question to ask lah, and to listen to them, understand them first before you sell. Yeah.
All right, cool. Then let me ask you this question. So what is the difference when agents start with cold calling first, then move to marketing, compared to an agent start with marketing first, then do cold calling?
What is the difference? I would say it's almost the same, because basically when I do cold calling, right, I'm very clear that I don't turn on my selling mode. Yeah, because I come from the point where I try to understand what their needs, right? Then only I propose a project that is suitable to them, or even to start to introduce them to my project.
All right, I see. So that's how you started cold calling and moved to marketing. Now, Ashlynn, I just look at your performance tracker. I think Q1, including this month, your gross commission income is about 156,000. That's the sales that we are looking at. Am I correct? So what is the total sales that you're looking at? Your production for Q1?
Okay, so for this year, a little bit different. I actually put 123,000 for 1 quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Sorry, I looked at it wrongly.
Yeah.
Your Q1, you've done about 61%, which is about...
Yeah, that is the currently the converted one, about half of it. Yeah.
Cool. Can you tell me how you do it? How did you do it?
I think I must have the desire, and also I think the 1, 3, 5, and 4 the goal setting that we did beginning of the year, it is really very helpful, because previously what we did is that we stretched our goal for 1 whole year. So because we realized that the current situation is very unpredictable, we don't know when is the next lockdown going to happen. So instead of looking at 12 months, right, I actually shortened my goal to 12 weeks. Yeah, so meaning every quarter lah. Yeah.
Right. So I remember beginning of the year, we've done one craft your master plan training for 2 days. Remember? And normally when we set goal, we put 12 months. But we learned from a big lesson last year. You know, there's an MCO kicks in, then all our plan gone haywire. So what happened is I remember for a leadership team, for FDRT leadership team, we need to hit our goal in 12 weeks instead of 12 months. Why do we do that? Is because we don't know what will happen after that. So what will happen before Raya, what will happen after Raya? Will MCO 4.0 kicks in? Will other problem comes in, the political problem, the government change? We do not know. Now, if we achieve our goal in a short period of time, I don't care how many times the government change. If we achieve our goal in a short period of time, I don't care how many times the country locked down. So I remember when we first started, we compressed the timeline until a situation that we feel very uncomfortable. Because you will only progress and grow when you feel uncomfortable. When you are very comfortable, nothing will happen because you are just too comfortable. So I also believe that every one of you have set a 135 goal at the beginning of the year. I think maybe 135 is a 1 goal, 3 priorities, 5 strategy. So what are the priorities that you need to do to achieve your goal? And what are the strategy that you need to do to achieve your goal? And I believe all change. I'm not too sure. Actually, did your 135 change?
Yes. Yes. So it's actually a challenge for me, where it really pushed me to it really stretched my capacity, I would say, because imagine like from 12 months to 12 weeks, it's really a challenge. So, but I took up that challenge because I have to be very realistic as well about the current situation. I'm very mindful of that. And from there, I actually work backward lah, like work out my numbers, like how much should I spend on marketing, and how many leads should I generate, how many appointments should I have, and how many closing do I have. Yeah, it is actually workable, I would say. Yeah.
Cool. So actually, tell me, what is your focus right now? As in, whether it's sub-sale or project, and which project you're focusing on right now. The next question that is important that I want to ask you is that, how do you do lead gen?
Okay, so my current focus is actually in the project marketing. So currently focusing in Bukit Jalil and also OU3 area. Okay, and how do I do lead generation is that currently focusing more on the online marketing through campaign marketing. Yeah, so that's most of my appointments are from, and also closings.
All right. So how much money do you spend? And so you say Facebook marketing is like, so how much money do you spend and how many leads do you receive?
Okay, so I actually spend about $50 to $60 USD for campaign marketing every week. Yeah, so average cost per lead about $2.50 to $3.
All right. So do you consistently have appointment by doing that?
Yes, of course, but there are some challenges as well. Let's say if you were to ask, right, every stages, there are actually challenges. So the challenge for lead generation would be, sometimes it could be a challenge for me to get consistent lead every single day, because, you know, there are days where you have a lot of leads, and then there are days where you experience lead crisis. Yeah, so I'm mindful of that. But actually, eventually, once you get the hang of it, right, lead generation, to get a lead is not really a big issue. Yeah, the challenge will come later on in the next stage.
All right. Now I understand that before we move to KW Command, all right, I know that you spend a lot of money on Facebook also. I remember you told the team that last year you focused one project in Cheras during MCO, and you closed about 10 to 12 units and 0 conversion. Now, when I hear that, I was like, oh my God, how can you move forward and how can you continue this journey? It was so painful. And how much do you spend on that period of time?
I think on that project itself, I spent about 10 to 11,000 minimum just on that project itself. Yeah.
Would you mind to share about that story?
Okay, so last year it was a year where I pivot a lot from one project to another project, because every project there's different set of challenges. So for that particular project, getting appointment is not really an issue, I would say. But even getting closing is also not an issue, but the conversion is, because last time, as we all understand, that the banks are also very strict. So most of our cases, the bank actually slashed the margin. So instead of giving 90% loan, they slashed to 85 or 80%. So these buyers, because it's a different target market, it's a different market. So if they cannot get 90% loan, right, if they were to fork out 5 or 10% down payment from their own pocket, they couldn't do that. They just couldn't do that. Yeah, so that's how so many deals actually aborted last year.
About 12 of them, right?
Yeah. And it's not easy, because during the conversion that time, it was so hard, because usually I know way before the pandemic, our conversion, normally it takes about 1 week or less than that. But during that time, I remember most of the cases, it took about 2.5 months to 3 months, and with at least 8 to 10 KIVs, and eventually still the approval was not what the buyer expected lah. So that eventually result in a lot of aborted sales.
Right. And you spent 10,000 to 12,000 for that.
In just, I think, about 3 months.
So how do you overcome that? You know, I want to pose that for a moment. Now, a lot of people are spending money on KW Common right now, or whatever social media marketing. We spend that money, but we didn't get the result that we want. I think sometimes we get discouraged also, you know. Now you spend 10 to 12,000 and why don't you give up?
I would say don't always adopt a victim mindset and look for opportunities, because apparently, even though the market was very soft, especially last year, it was really very challenging. But there are still people closing. So I actually get a lot of inspiration from them. And I know that if you have a will, right, there must be a way to do it. Yeah, so you have to identify what is the gap, and have to pivot, be very adaptable. Yeah.
I see. So what I'm hearing you is that don't be a victim mindset.
Yes, correct.
Find a ways to look for the opportunity, right?
Yes, correct. And I saw Joanne posted one, community is important. Yes, I do agree with that, because, you know, as iron sharpens iron, right? So we need one another to actually sharpen us. So during that time, I also realized the importance of community. So I'm very grateful that like in our team, we don't work alone. Yeah, we have people who are around us, motivate us, and to pick us up, and to give us that, you know, that energy that we need whenever we feel very down. Yeah, so there are really times where I ask myself, like, what have I done wrong? So what went wrong, and how can I do better? Yeah, so always look for that opportunity, just don't give up. And one thing is that I look at my bank account every single day. Yeah, so it has come to a point where it really scares me off. So I have no plan B. So by hook or by crook, I have to do it lah. No money also, I have to find a way lah. So yeah, I just wouldn't just don't make excuse. There must be a way one.
Right. Now let's talk about this. We have to be very careful with our cash flow, correct? Have you come to a point that you don't have money to spend on Facebook marketing or any sort of marketing activity?
Yes, I am mindful of my bank account. I monitor my P&L very, very frequently. So I knew that if we don't spend right, we won't be getting any leads. So I actually work out a plan where I know these are the amount that I can come out. But in order for me to close a sales or have this amount of appointment, right? So I need to have a certain amount of spending, because it cannot be you don't spend any money, you don't send any single cent, and then you get a lead and appointment. Cannot be one. So I'm mindful of that. So I actually have my way lah. So can I share? So actually, yeah. So I actually come up with certain amount of marketing that I can afford at that point of time, and at the same time, I look for people who could invest in me. Yeah, because you know, in this industry, cash flow is very, very important. Yeah, so when cash flow is an issue, I will look for. So I thank God that I actually have people who actually trust in me and who would actually invest in me. Yeah, so that actually helped me to sustain through that storm for during last year.
Right. So what I'm hearing you is that last year you did face some cash flow issue. You understand that lead generation cannot stop. Is that true?
Yes.
So then after that, somehow there are good people along your journey and help you and invest in you, right? So that you can have the fun and continue to do lead gen. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Cool. It reminds me of a story that last year or 1.5 years ago, my team and myself also have some cash flow issue on lead generation. But what makes the difference is that I understand how many leads I need and how many appointments I need to have in order to have that amount of sales. So for example, Ashlynn, would you mind to share what is your ratio appointment to sale, or maybe how many leads to one appointment?
Okay, so previously, way before the pandemic, it was every 4 appointments, I would have 1 closing. Okay, and conversion rate was pretty high, about 80%. But somehow through last year, I don't know what went wrong. So when I look back, right, I actually worked 3 times higher, meaning every 12 appointment, 1 closing. And the conversion, I would say, more than 90% aborted deal. So it was really a trying time for me last year. So currently, I would say about 8 to 10 appointments, I would have 1 closing, and conversion are pretty high so far. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, right now, you know very clearly that you need about 8 appointments to have 1 closing. Is that true?
Yes, correct. So yeah, 8 appointment to 1 closing, and the conversion from closing to SBA sign, this year is about 90% so far. Yeah, not so many aborted deals. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Interesting. So back to the question earlier that you remind me about the cash flow issue. And I remember 1.5 years ago, I need someone to invest in me in my marketing. So I come up with a 135 plan, and I present to this one of my beloved investor. I say, you invest that kind of money, I'm gonna have so many leads, I'm gonna have so many closing, right? So I come up with that 135 business plan, I present it to her, and I got the fund. But did I achieve my goal? The answer is no, because it was so challenging. But I made this promise, and I say I'm not gonna make my investor lose money, because they trust me and I will do that. So I believe right now when I look at the file, the investor is making money, so it's not losing money, right? So what I'm telling you is that don't let the money stop you doing whatever you want to do. Money is not the biggest issue. What is the biggest issue is that you don't know how to do it. Now, then it's not about what to do, it's about how to do it. So if you know how to do it right, if you know the answer, what you should do, how you should do it in order to get the sales right, then money may not be a biggest issue in your business. Because I always say this to our rent, go and borrow money and do it if you know how to do it. Now, if you don't know how to do this business, don't borrow money, because you will get yourself burned out. All right. Now, if you don't have money, it's okay. Then do whatever you have right now. Okay, start with cold calling, right? Like Ashlynn, you started as cold calling, correct? Now, based on cold calling, how many units you close for that project?
In 1 year, I guess about close to 30, right?
Just for cold calling, right?
Just from cold calling, yeah.
Interesting. I remember we hired 5 telemarketers at that point of time.
Yes.
Right, that was crazy. We won't go back anymore. So we won't go back anymore. So that's the thing. Now, actually, setting an appointment is the biggest challenge right now. Okay. So would you mind now? Basically, right now you're not in. You're basically one of the projects that we are doing right now is in Cheras. Okay. In fact, yesterday you helped me to set an appointment for one of the potential clients to Zoom. Now, I've seen you how to set an appointment for every project. I've seen you set more than 12 appointments for one of the project in Wangsa Maju, correct? Wangsa Malawati, is it? Okay, so how do you set appointments? So when you have the leads, and how do you convert into appointment? Can you tell us about your secrets?
Okay, let me share with you the challenges that we have right now, because the projects that we are selling right now, right, is really very, very competitive. Easily, at least 10 agencies are selling, about 150 to 200 agents, right, for one project. So that challenge actually comes the moment when we receive that lead ready, because it's so common that because it's so competitive to a point where the moment we receive the leads and we pick up, right, that lead actually told us that somebody already approached them and they are aware of this project anymore. So in these circumstances, I have 2 choices. It's either I hang up, okay, or I continue the conversation. So I choose to go for the latter one, which is to engage with them, even though they say they have heard about that project. But I just choose to carry on with that conversation now, right? Because to me, every lead is actually an opportunity for me to convert to appointment and yeah, for closing. And since they register my ad, so it's my responsibility to share the investment opportunity that I have with her. Yeah. So so I am very mindful of that. So actually not just one or two, it's so common that the leads that register my ad also register your ad and other people's ad. And in fact, it's the same project. So I tell myself, just don't lose hope so easily lah. And I would say for my recent closing for the last few months, right, for this year, right, I was definitely not the first agent who approached them. And they have actually heard about this project from other people as well. But what make it stand out is that I grab every opportunity that I can communicate with them on the phone, right? I really engage with them and to really understand what they need. So by just be very, come from contribution, all right, not turning on your selling mode, and make them feel very comfortable, they will eventually choose to set appointment with you, and there might be opportunity for you to have a closing as well if you do it well lah.
Cool, thank you for sharing that, Ashlynn. Now I'm actually a leads coordinator in FDRT team. So meaning to say I set up all the ads, I run all the ads, and I generate the leads, and then I distribute to the team. Right? Now I've seen this, Ashlynn. I want you to tell me your secret right now. Okay, there's a particular lead registered 3 or 4 times. You are the last person to receive the lead. So meaning to say you receive the duplicate leads. Okay, and when I look at their file status is not interested, not potential, but and now you set the appointment and meet up with the client and talk about it. Did you manage to close the deal?
Not yet.
Okay, so can you tell me about that secret? How did you do that? Why other agents' status is not potential, not interested, but when it comes to you, you are able to set appointment and meet up with the client at sales gallery?
In fact, I would be very curious, like what happened to them? Why are they not able to set the appointment? I don't know what is my secret, but I know that every leads that come in, I won't talk a lot about my projects, but I always ask a lot of very good questions. Then only I know what they want, and I will know what to do next lah. If you just keep on talking and selling, right, you don't actually you don't understand what they need and why they need, right? It's very hard for you to move on to the next stage, actually. Yeah. So even if I recall my recent closing, right, some client even, approached by other agents, or they've seen that project, but eventually, because as I engage with them, right, you would realize that there are still things that they don't know. Yeah, so that's where there's opportunity for you to actually create the value, and you come from contribution and share with them what is so good about this one and why is it so suitable for you. Yeah, of course you have to understand what they need first lah, because if you are not doing a good job and you just wait for a ready and a hot leads, right, that is not going to happen. Yeah, we have to educate them.
Right. So one of the challenges or issue we have is that we always wait for hot leads that is ready to buy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And the fact is that we don't have all that.
Is that very rare, very rare. Maybe one in a year that he registered and then he said, I want to buy now. Not to say don't have lah, got lah, but very, very rare. But if you just want to wait for that kind of leads, then it's not, you won't have a lot of, closings.
Definitely. Okay. So are you saying that all the leads that we generated from social media, and they are actually searching around, doing way around, are you saying that So, and then after that, you were saying that you don't sell them up front and never turn on your selling mode. Is that correct? And you ask questions to understand. Now, would you mind to share what kind of quality question you ask them?
Okay, first of all, you can ask them like, hey, why are you looking for a property? Okay, because that would also help me to understand like how urgent or how potential these leads are. And it will actually help me in my follow-up as well. Because not all the leads you will give equal attention. One, you'll always focus on the maybe the more potential or more motivated one. Okay. Like I will ask them like, how long have you been looking around? Okay, and like when are you planning to move in? Yeah, so ask about their timeline as well, and have they been to any other galleries? Okay, this question. And let's say if they share with you, yeah, I've been to here and there, then you might ask them, and so what's holding you back from not proceed with this and that particular property? So from there, you kind of know like what they actually want. And sometimes also buyer actually, they don't know what they want. Yeah, so you have to engage with them, just ask them a lot of questions. Okay, so easily if you give me a lead, right, I think to talk to them over the phone for 20 to 30 minutes is really not an issue for me. So let's say I got 3 leads, right, I can talk for 1 hour one. Yeah. So if I realize that if I engage well with them over the phone, right, and then to set appointment with them, right, the appointment would be very solid because you earn that trust already. And yeah.
Right, cool. I just want to add on to what Ashlynn said. We are actually in a people business.
Yeah.
We are not in a product business. Now, when you're in a product business, it's like pasar malam people already. You know, you are very focusing on product, you sell. But when we understand this, when we are in a people business, please have a purposeful conversation with your client. And that is the reason why you can talk to client for 20 to 30 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is to really understand them, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And set number 2 is that when we talk about, when we say we are in a people business, right, we actually can't do people business in a closed door environment. Now, what is closed door environment? This is closed door environment. The only thing that we can do people business is to go out there and meet client. Is to about lead generation, is about having a purposeful conversation with your client. Let me repeat that again. Lead generation is about having a purposeful conversation with your client. Is to ask good questions. Like, okay, I understand that you're currently looking for property around. So what property you have seen? Now, you have seen A, B, C, D, E. Why don't you buy that one? What is the problem? Why you don't like that kind of property? So what are you really searching at? You know? Now, I remember one of the mentors told me, if you don't know how to advise, you are nothing but a salesman. Let me repeat that again. If you don't know how to advise, you are nothing but a salesman. I don't think we are here to be a salesperson. Okay? We are here to really serve client. Now, don't be afraid asking questions because we want to ask questions to understand our client so that we can serve them better. All right. Now, let me share with you one story that the lead generated by Ashlynn. Okay. This very young lady, I think, have seen more than 10 different sales gallery, visited 10 different sales gallery. And when I look at her, I just ask her this question. Hey, are you tired? I just asked her this question. I didn't continue my presentation. I just asked her, you have seen so many projects, you have seen so many properties. Are you tired? You know what the client told me? The client said, I'm actually very tired and I'm very confused. Because all the sales gallery that she went, everyone turned on their selling mode. Nobody spent time to really understand her. Now, the good news is that after so many sales gallery and end up this client bought a property from us. in somewhere velocity. So now closing a deal is part one. Let me explain to you whether it's sub-sale or project. Closing a deal is part one. Don't get so excited. In fact, I pay 80% of my attention on part two, meaning to say after the booking. Getting a booking is not a problem for me anymore. Really, it's easy to get a booking. To get the transaction converted into a sale require a lot of problem solving. Now, remember I say this to my team, if we can solve a problem and earn money, right? Because we always believe that if we can solve client's problem, then we can earn money. Then the question is that, what problem are you solving for your client? What is the problem are you solving for a client? For project, I don't know what is that. For sub-sale, I don't know what is that. So always identify the problem and be a problem solver. So I always say this to the team also, we are not here just to be a sales agent. We are not here to sell property. We are here to solve problem. So sometimes you have to change your head to be a banker. Sometimes you have to advise client about their financial portfolio. Sometimes you have to tell them a little bit about the legal stuff. You know, we are not here just to sell. All right. So that's what I want to add on to Ashlynn's conversation earlier. Now, Ashlynn, let's talk a little bit about challenge number 2. Just now I talked about everyone have the same leads but unable to do that, right? Now, can you share a little bit about lead generation and how do you time block it? Because not everyone do lead generation consistently. Because I believe doing lead generation consistently will have consistent result, right? So how do you do that?
Okay, I believe this is not a secret because everybody also doing almost the same thing from Facebook marketing, and the leads that you have, I also have. Okay, the thing is that just cannot stop. There wouldn't be perfect one. Some days, you know, you experience like, hey, how come no lead? So what's wrong? This ad used to be so good. How come it's not working anymore? So you just have to constantly do some tweaking here and there, and most importantly, right, when you receive that lead, you have to act really, really fast, because I'm aware that the project that I'm selling is very, very competitive. So speed, it really matters. So I recently have a closing. So this already signed SPA. So he told me that on that day when he came to the gallery, he told me that actually on the same day, he registered for 5 advertisements through Facebook. Okay, because I managed to call him first. So he set an appointment with me. So eventually, I actually brought him to 3 different galleries. So he ended up buying from me. Yeah, and he has been registering all over, have seen at least 10 projects. Okay, so speed really matters. And I sometimes I come to the point where I really appreciate the leads, because I know I'm mindful of the money that I pump in, and I actually see every lead as an opportunity to closing. And I also want to thank John Kuek for this one, because every time, right, when John Kuek received a lead, when he passed to me, right, he won't type long one. He just screenshot and then send to me. He just put 30K. Then I'll be very motivated to call already. You know, instead of seeing the leads as, you know, 5 or $10 per lead cost per lead, he just put there 30K, then I'll call already. If the lead registered at 9 o'clock, I remember 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, there's one time 11:30, right? He sent me the list and then he said, hot lead. So I call, you know. Luckily that guy, he picked up, and yeah, I didn't gonna scolded, even though I called very late, right? Because he just put there 30K, then I know what to do already. Would you mind to explain what does it mean, 30K?
Okay. I dollar sign for all the hot leads. I put a dollar sign next to my lead. So for example, the project that you're doing right now, the commission is about 15, 20, 25, 30K or 40K, right? Okay. So one of the projects is about 30, 40K. So when I receive the lead, I screenshot it, and then I say, your commission is 30K. And I just send it to them. And that's how I do it. In fact, I do have, I don't know how many of you here use Trello.com. I think right now we have the opportunity, right? We can use that. So what happened is that all the potential leads that I have, I will put the commission dollar sign there because it reminds me, do your one thing, focus on the potential leads so that you can achieve your goal. So if I can show you my potential leads, right, I can actually hit my goal, which is about 200 or 1,000. I don't need to do other stuff. All I need to do is to focus on them and convert them into your commission by doing a good job. So sometimes when we open up our database, right, we get very confused. Oh, all the number, but you don't know how to prioritize them. Now, for you to prioritize them, maybe one of the challenges I want to give all of you here is that put a dollar sign next to your leads. Instantly, you get yourself motivated. All right, that's how I do it. I don't know how you do it. Okay, so it reminds me to do that. Now, Ashlynn, continue sharing. What other challenges you have when come? How do you overcome it? About lead gen.
Okay, so far that is it all for lead generation would be consistent lead and to really like call them immediately if can, the moment you receive that lead, because sometimes also they might be registering too many ads and they don't know what they register. So also most of the time, the moment if they register and then within less than 1 minute you call them, right, they'll be very impressed of your efficiency. I just registered only. Yeah, they will remember you lah. So you create a very good impression. But of course we can't. We wouldn't be able to do that all the time. But if I can, I would do it lah, because sometimes we might be caught up in an appointment. Yeah, but if I'm not in an appointment, then I would do it lah. Yeah, sometimes I come to a point where I'm driving, and then I saw a leads come in. Then I would just stop at one corner, stop my car, and then I would just have that conversation. But I'm not saying that you must be that extreme lah. But that is just how I value each and every lead that come to me, because I always know that sure, the chances of them registering multiple ads is almost 100%. Yeah.
We can't deny that, right? Everyone is using Facebook marketing. What makes the difference is that how we talk to our client. Is that correct? Talk about the script a little bit. So what's your script?
I don't really have a script, but because I get very comfortable just talking to people, but I know some of the few questions that I need to ask them. So I even have clients who actually been to our sales gallery. So, but then after that, she registered my ad because she didn't know that it's actually the same project. So when I call her and I realized that, hey, actually she has been to a lot of galleries, including the project that we are selling. Then after, as I understand her further, I feel that that project actually suit her a lot in terms of her budget, her timeline and what she wants, because she wants exclusivity, right, privacy. So I know that really suits her. But I was just very curious, like, how come you have been to our gallery? But what stopped you from placing the booking? So after engaging with her, I realized that, hey, probably there are a lot of maybe some concern that she has, and which was not previously clarified by another agent that served her. So what happened is that since she registered my ad again, right, I invited her again to our sales gallery. So I said, and then after that, I explained to her and just address the concern. The thing that I love to do most, right, actually in sales gallery, the front part, do the presentation, show them the show you need. Normally it takes us about half an hour, but the very crucial part is always when you sit down with them, that closing part. Yeah, that will actually determine whether they want to proceed or not, because let's be real, after they go to so many sales gallery, it's like more or less the same one, right? It's like the project, after they see 10 also, they won't really remember a lot of things on. So when you sit down that time, like really ask them questions. And I love it when clients ask me questions, because I also do my homework for all the projects that I do, right? The first thing is that I would identify what are the objections first, the common objection. That just like you want me to call your Sunway leads, right? You brief me so many product info. So in the end, I'll ask you, so what are the common objections? I just need to know that, right? And then I know how to do the rest already. So I am that confident to a point whereby you just ask me question lah. I would say 99% I'll be able to answer one. If I cannot answer, then I will get back to you lah once I get the answer. Yeah, so just be like that. So which is why I think project marketing is also very exciting, because imagine you are presenting the same thing over and over, and the objection that this buyer have, other people will also have it. Yeah, so eventually it also becomes just very natural from a script. And then because you practice, because I also invest time to do role play as well. My
Okay.
house, I have very, very big mirror. Yeah, that's when I ask myself question and talk to myself every day. If nobody practice with me.
Okay, now I want to ask this important question. When you receive leads, right? I know your practice is you always call them first. You don't text them. Is that correct? Why don't you text them?
Text them cannot feel, and if I call them, right, then I'll be able to know like whether they know what they want or not, or it will help me to just further categorize them better lah. I know if they ask you a question then they hesitate a while, or are they very like very direct one, they know what they want, then I would know how to communicate with them. Text very hard. Like if there's opportunity, I will always call them first. Then I actually struggling with texting, because texting you cannot feel their emotion as well, right? And then I feel like sometimes I can just talk on the phone for 30 minutes, but if I were to text and type, right, it could take half a day. Yeah, so normally I would engage with client over the phone about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, it will become a lot easier when I text them that time. I don't have to send a super long text, because I've already shared with them a lot of things over the phone. Yeah.
All right. So are you saying that to sense their emotion is important, and by texting them you can't do that? Why their emotion to you is important?
You want to see whether they are excited or not, or whether they are in their very initial stage, just look see, or they really want it, because that will really help me to know like how frequent should I follow up with them, and the intensity as well.
Well, you can't do that testing. You can't do that by just sending their WhatsApp.
I don't know. I find it that when I because some leads, right, I have these leads where no matter how many times you call, they just don't pick up the phone. So when I text them, yes, can engage, but something is lacking, So hard to set appointment.
What is important to you is that the emotion from the client is important.
Yes.
Right? Some people prefer texting, I don't know why, but their objective is to engage with client and talk over them. But some clients prefer texting, right?
Yes, that's true.
Use that structure.
Yeah.
Okay. I also prefer calling, to be honest, because when I call, I can get all the information that I want. Now let me repeat. Let me say this. I think one of the mentor told me, when you talk to customer, you don't give information up front. You want to get information from client first, because when you get information from your client, your mind processing how to do the structure, how to do the sales structure, how to do the sales presentation, so that your presentation is customized to your client. Don't rush into selling them. Don't rush into pushing the information to them. Don't do that. So when it comes to sales gallery appointment, right? Each client I spend 2 hours. I'm not too sure about you, Ashlynn. How long do you spend your time with client at sales gallery?
Easily 2 hours. If there's closing, at least 2.5 hours. I think it's 4 hours also we tried before, right, in gallery, until the gallery closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me tell you, in these 2 hours, what do we do? I only talk about the project for 20 minutes to 30 minutes, or maybe maximum 35 minutes, including show unit. Then the rest of the time is sit-down discussion. And when it comes to sit-down discussion, I don't talk about product anymore. It's about having a purposeful conversation with client. So that's the thing. So Ashlynn, thank you for sharing. Just now you mentioned that you prefer call is because you can immediately get their emotion, you know how they feel about it, and you can get the information so that you know how to structure it, right, to close them or to follow up with them. Okay. Now I think there's some question. There are some questions here. Joanne Ong asked. Now scripts are important when it comes to calling Facebook leads. What is your opening script? What script do you use? What is your opening script? What is the first few sentences you say? Come, let's go play right now. I'm client. Just call me now.
Okay, normally I would just say that, hey, I received. It's just like any other agent, like honestly, is doing the same thing. I would say the things that make it different, maybe not the opening, because opening is that always they register our ad first. I would say, hey, thank you for registering our ad. So, so the ad that you registered is actually at this area. So are you looking at this area? I do that for my Facebook lead reason because many times they don't know what ad or where they register. Yeah, they can be registering all over. It could be a little bit different if your leads are, from portal, then that will be more targeted. But here I'm talking about Facebook lah. So first, I'll ask a very, general question first, then slowly narrow down. So is this the location? So, okay, then if you say, okay, yes, I'm looking around Bukit Jalil, then I would slowly bring it out lah. Like, I don't know, I think there's no hard and fast rule because I noticed that some agent, they may not reveal that project name to that client because they afraid that the client will go directly to the sales gallery. But somehow I think I don't have this issue so far. I will reveal everything after I engage with them, and I don't mind, sharing even a brochure with the project details or the developer details. I would just share it with them so they know what project they are going to view and what developer. And yeah, so far don't really have clients that really bypass me and go straight to the developer lah. Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because you understand your client. You are not about them.
Yeah.
You can understand them, and they feel very comfortable with you. Because whatever you say, whatever you do for them is customized for them.
Yeah.
You choose for them, the bank that you ask them to apply for their loan is customized for them. It fits them very well. So don't turn on your selling mode. Everything will be all right. Okay? All right. One last question I want to ask you. Then I will open Q&A for everyone. Guys, please take opportunity to ask Ashlynn question. What is their secret? Ask all the secret. Now, Ashlynn, I want to ask you, when it comes to this real estate, right, what kind of skill set is important? And what kind of skill set you want to improve or you have mastered it?
What kind of skill set? I think communication is very important, and to really listen and not rushing in to, talk. I think you know me more, right? Maybe you just want to, maybe you can share like how you see me transform. I always tell myself, you ask me so many challenges, right? I always tell this job, I said, if I can walk through all the tests that Jonathan Kuek put me through, right? The rest are really not challenged already because I already have a benchmark.
Yes.
So would you mind to share like how was I back then and right now? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why did you scold me? Last time I always get scolded by Jonathan Kuek.
No, I don't. I think one of the problem that not just you have, I've seen many agents have is that they rush to answer the question. They are rushing to answer the question. For example, the client haven't finished their question yet, even though you know what they are asking. Don't stop them. Let them finish the question. Number two, listen more than you talk. Right. So one of the problem that I've seen you doing that, and I cannot tahan one, is that you don't listen. You talk a lot when it comes to client. So sometimes when the client asks a question, but your answer does not fit to what the client wants to ask. Sometimes when they ask a question, what is important is that you need to understand why are you asking that question. I give you an example. The client comes to sales gallery and straight away asks you this question: can this project do A, B, and B? Can this project do A, B, and B? How do you answer? Now, if the client is investor, they will prefer to do A, B, and B. You know why? Let's make more money. But sometimes clients don't like a condo have a lot of A, B, and B unit because there are a lot of outsiders come in. To spoil the unit, to spoil the condo, they didn't maintain well. So sometimes don't rush into answer question. Understand why the client is asking that question. So last time your mistake is like this, you know. So the client didn't finish the question, then you rush in and you talk. So listen is really, really important. Okay, hey, continue sharing why you asked me to share.
Okay, what are other challenges? I would say, stick to your time block also, because you know, like you can have your plan, you know, from a lot of distraction.
I think your
It's
line.
whether
Is she breaking or just myself?
Yeah, can
she's
hear
breaking.
can you hear me now?
Maybe you have to repeat just now what you said.
Yeah, repeat just now.
Okay. Yeah, I would say maybe the challenge is to stick to your time block. You know, if you say that you want gonna time block, you know, these 3 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the afternoon to do your call and to follow up, you have to faithfully do it. So of course, sometimes life shows up. So things may, you know, show up on certain days. So it will take up that time for your lead generation time. So Gary Keller said, right, in the One Thing book, it says, if you erase it, you must replace it back. Yeah, you just have to do it lah. So it has to be a very consistent thing, you know, because lead is like your oxygen, and if there's no lead, then no appointment, then there won't be closing lah. So stick to your time block. That can be a challenge. So whenever, you know, there's distraction, right, I always have to ask myself, is this an opportunity or is this a distraction? Yeah. So just don't clutter yourself with so many things. Understand what is your one thing. Yeah. So if you ask me, right, actually, once I mastered it, took me some time to master it, because I always have this like one whole list of things that I need to do. I actually update it every other day, right? So these are the things I want to do. But after that, I will put some highlight whereby, okay, these are the few very, very important ones that I must do. And then the rest is really secondary. So sometimes you will be very tempted to do it because, right, to do the 80%, you have to identify what are your top 20%, because it can be a challenge for me, because sometimes I feel that, okay, this thing, even though it's not the most important thing, but it's really a lot. So if I faithfully doing my top 20%, right, I have a list of 80% of things that I haven't really settled. But those 80% are not really, you know, not money productive one. So what if I do the 80% and I leave my 20%? So I'll be, just like you share with us, there are a lot of activities, but not productivities. Yeah. So if you ask me, right, you see me doing very good in this part of my life, but you know, the rest of the 80%, sometimes I have to counterbalance it lah.
Okay, correct. Now let me ask you, let me ask everyone this question. What is your dollar productive activities today?
Okay.
Comment. What is your, I ask everyone in this room, because we have to identify what is the one thing, correct? So the one thing book, this one, we have to identify what is the one thing. Then I ask every one of you in this room, what is your dollar productive activities for today? So comment below and let me know. Now, while they are commenting, or they if they can comment, then will be good. Now, there's some questions asked by Hannah. How many percent your marketing expenses of your gross commission?
How many percent? I probably don't have that number right now, because I only started spending since last year. If you were to ask last year, only maybe one deal get converted throughout the whole year, and I spent so much that is definitely a negative lah. Okay, so for this year, averagely every month I spend about 1,000. And right now, looking at my conversion, because I do have some other pending one right now, I think converted one about 60, close to 70,000 SPA signed. Yeah, so I spend about 3,000 and make 70,000. I think that is a pretty good ratio. Converted one.
Okay, interesting. Now I have one question asked by Evelyn. So Ashlynn, you did cold call for 2 years plus, and it you, but what is the reason that it stopped working after that?
guess last year when the pandemic hit, right, everybody was very, very fearful to go out. So imagine if I call you and then I invite you and want to sell you, and the economy wasn't that good last year. That was the market segment during the MCO 1.0 lah, and I got scolded a lot. Like people scold me like, hey, why are you still asking me to go out? Now everybody is staying home. Why are you still selling? The economy is so not so good. So I realized that probably it's time for me to pivot to at least spend some money in Facebook marketing, because I believe that in every market situation, there are still people who would want to buy property. So maybe it's time for me to focus on marketing and just focus on those people who show interest. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think we are almost come to the end. If you have any question you want to ask Ashlynn, please go ahead. Now, I just want to summarize. I tried to summarize what Ashlynn said. Ashlynn said a lot of things. What I can remember is that she talked about time block. She talked about protect your lead generation activities and no distraction. Number 2, she talked about 20 and 80 rules. Focus on your 20% that will bring 80% of the result. So meaning to say, what is your dollar productive activities today? Because if you cannot identify your one thing, you will find yourself in a situation that you have a lot of activities, but there's no productivities. You have a lot of activities, but there's no productivity. Now, the next things that I learned from Ashlynn is that ask good question. Ask good question is because the information that you receive from your client, you are able to structure your presentation or structure the conversation with your client, because lead gen is having a purposeful conversation with your client. Now, the next things that I learned from Ashlynn is that know your number. How many leads will bring to appointment and how many appointments to one sale. Now, when you identify this number, you know what to do already. That's called reverse engineering. So we set our goal. Now, this is what Gary Keller said. You set the goal, so the goal will inform your action. Now, don't be afraid of setting goal. I remember I asked the agent to set goal. They say, too big the goal. I don't want to set goal. I just want to focus what I can do now. It's actually not like that. You need to set the goal first, and the goal will tell you what to do. So when you do reverse engineering, is a lot better. And lastly, of course, Ashlynn said we need to consistently do our lead gen, because if our lead generation is consistent, our sale is consistent. But sometimes you will face a lead crisis. Now, what I want to say is that one of the biggest problems that all the real estate agents face is we over-focus on quality leads. Now, sometimes it's not about the quality leads that we want to focus. It's the quality of follow-up. Because all the leads that you receive right now, because we are already into KW Command, we're going to receive leads. Now, how do you make the leads quality is really depends on your quality of follow-up. Now, what is quality of follow-up? Your intensity and your frequency, and have a purposeful conversation with your client. Never turn on your selling mode. Don't turn on your selling mode. All right? So actually, I will come back to you for a last advice to all the audience here. And then I will pass to Sing Fei. Is there any announcement that you want to make?
Thanks, Jonathan and Ashlynn. So before you go, they will come back to wrap up the session. So stay on for a while I make announcements. So especially our guests who are here with us this morning, if you want to find out more detail or how they do it, and you want to keep in contact with Jonathan or Ashlynn, these are their phone number and these are their email address. So take a screenshot, make sure you connect them, especially our guests. You want to find out more how they do their business in such a way, right? So with that, the next slide. We have been running this national consumer campaign whereby the regional side will send out a touch point EDM for you to forward to your customer or keep in touch with your customer. So go to your workplace everything happening every week. There will be a new EDM set up for you. So make full use of that to keep in touch with your customer, because that is where you begin to keep in contact with the customer. And this could be one way of lead generation as well, right? And at the same time, we're also running a National Consumer Campaign Championship. So whoever post the most posting and get response, you might stand a chance to win a weekly prize of USD 50. And at the end of the campaign, the championship, you may win a grand prize of USD $200. So make full use of these resources that we have created for you. As you do that, not only hope to help you to increase your business, it's also help you to increase some reward as well, right? So next is, so make sure you participate on this championship, and also at the same time there will be continue to have this KW Command workshop that going on by Lucas. So sign up through the link that we posted in the chat box. If you still have issue how to run some of the feature in KW Command, make sure you sign up this workshop and to learn from it, from the workshop from Lucas. Right. So with that, I'll pass the time back to Jonathan and Ashlynn that you will wrap up this session.
So Ashlynn, what's your last piece of advice for all the audiences here that they can take away from you?
Okay, just have to understand that actually lead gen, follow up, closing, all this is actually a journey, because our boss David always says that, you know, smooth seas don't make a skillful sailor. So there will be storm here and there. Not every day will be perfect. So, but tell yourself it's okay, because you just fail forward. Hey, John Kuek, I know what advice you want to give. Maybe you want to show your t-shirt. What is that? Yes, never settle, never give up. Yeah, so yeah. So if I were to tell, it's really not an easy journey. It's not all the time smooth, but every crisis, there's an opportunity. Every problem, there's a solution. And it's very important that we be in a community, because we all need that. We are all made for a community. Okay, so yeah, iron sharpens iron. So we need people to hold us accountable. So for me, I'm very grateful that I have a really good accountability partner, which is John Kuek. Okay, I can talk to him anytime, and I can just share with him all the time. Yes, even though we do we do quarrel as well, because our perspectives sometimes are not the same, but it's okay one. We can always reach out to, there are a lot of people in our company that we can reach out whenever we are stuck, because us, even though we are leaders, but there are still days where we will feel very stuck and we will doubt ourselves. So don't be afraid to reach out. Yeah, so that's my advice.
Thank you for your advice. That's very encouraging. You know, thank you for contributing to the team, to your members, and also FDRT. Now, before I close this, I would like to share this slide for everyone. You can screenshot this. You can remind yourself which zone you want to be in. Most of us are at the comfort zone, where we feel very safe and we are in control. Now, a lot of people are very scared to step up from comfort zone, because the next zone called fear zone, where you are doing things that you don't want to do. You're trying to avoid things where you feel lack of self-confidence. You will find excuses. You know, for example, like, I just don't want to pick up the call and call the client, even the leads, even though the leads is from Facebook leads, you know, warm leads, and you'll be affected by other opinions. Now, what we really want to step into is learning zone, where we start dealing with challenges as problem. Now, you will realize that when you step up from comfort zone, you will find yourself progress and grow, progress and growth. That's where you find happiness, all right? So start up from a comfort zone, find yourself progressing, find yourself learning things that you want to learn, you know, acquire new skill and extend your comfort zone. And what is important is the growth zone, right? Now, what I think is that, I think God doesn't just want to see what is in our heart. They want to see us move. They want to see us take action in our life. And with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone coming to these sessions. And I wish you all the best in your real estate business. And God bless. See you, everyone. Bye.
John, you have to unshare.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Goodbye.